Imagine being told at just 11 years old that your dream would never come true. Imagine watching other children grow taller, stronger, and faster while your own body refused to grow. Imagine your family struggling to afford the treatment that could save your future. Most children would have given up. Most would have accepted that life had chosen a different path for them. But one small boy from Argentina refused to quit. That boy would one day become one of the greatest football players in history. His name is Lionel Messi. Today, millions of people know him as a football legend, a World Cup winner, and a global icon. But before the fame, before the trophies, and before the packed stadiums chanting his name, Messi was just a young boy fighting a battle that few people knew about. This is the story of his struggle, sacrifice, determination, and the incredible journey that changed football forever. Lionel Andres Messi was born on June 24, 1987, in Rosario, Argentina, a city known for its hard-working people and deep love for football. He grew up in a modest family with his parents and siblings. His father, Jorge Messi, worked long hours in a steel factory, while his mother, Celia, worked different jobs to help support the family. Money was often limited, but the Messi household was filled with love, encouragement, and strong family values. From the moment Lionel could walk, he seemed obsessed with football. While other children spent their time playing with toys, Messi spent every possible moment with a ball at his feet. Whether he was in the streets, in a small field, or in his backyard, he was always dribbling, passing, and imagining himself as a professional football player. Football was more than a game for him. It was his passion, his happiness, and his dream. At the age of 4, Messi joined a local football club called Grandoli. His grandmother played a huge role in encouraging him to play. She believed in his talent long before anyone else did. She would often take him to training sessions and matches, standing on the sidelines and cheering louder than anyone in the crowd. Her support gave Messi confidence and motivation. Years later, when Messi became a global superstar, he often pointed toward the sky after scoring goals. Those celebrations were dedicated to his grandmother, the woman who first believed that he could achieve greatness. Even after becoming one of the most famous athletes in the world, he never forgot her love and support. As Messi grew older, his talent became impossible to ignore. Coaches were amazed by the way he controlled the ball. Even though he was smaller than most of the other children, he seemed to have abilities that nobody else possessed. He could dribble past multiple defenders with ease, create scoring opportunities out of nowhere, and maintain perfect control of the ball while running at high speed. His football intelligence was extraordinary. While many players relied on physical strength, Messi relied on skill, balance, quick thinking, and creativity. People began talking about the young boy with the magical feet. Soon he joined the youth academy of Newell's Old Boys, one of Argentina's most respected football clubs. There he continued to impress everyone who watched him play. At Newell's Old Boys, Messi became the star of his youth team. The team was so dominant that many people referred to them as the Machine of '87 because they seemed unbeatable. Match after match, they defeated opponents with ease. And Messi was often the player leading the way. He scored countless goals and entertained crowds with incredible dribbling skills. Parents, coaches, and football fans began to believe that they were watching a future superstar. Everything appeared to be moving in the perfect direction. Messi was developing into an exceptional player, and his dream of becoming a professional footballer seemed closer than ever. But life was about to present him with a challenge that threatened to destroy everything he had worked for. When Messi was around 10 years old, his parents noticed that something was wrong. While his friends were growing normally, Lionel remained unusually small for his age. At first, they assumed he was simply a late developer. However, as time passed, the difference became more noticeable. Concerned about his growth, they took him to see doctors. After a series of medical tests, the family received devastating news. Messi had growth hormone deficiency, a medical condition that prevented his body from producing enough growth hormone. Without treatment, he would likely remain much smaller than other children and could face significant challenges in pursuing a professional football career. The diagnosis shocked the entire family. It felt as though a dark cloud had suddenly appeared over their future. The doctors explained that treatment was available, but there was a serious problem. The treatment required expensive hormone injections that had to be administered regularly over several years. The cost was far beyond what the Messi family could comfortably afford. His parents were devastated. They wanted to help their son achieve his dream. But the financial burden was overwhelming. Every month became a struggle. They worked harder, saved every possible dollar, and made countless sacrifices to keep the treatment going. Family members contributed whenever they could. Everyone united around one goal, helping Lionel continue his fight. While many children worried about school or games, Messi was learning lessons about hardship, sacrifice, and resilience. As if the medical challenges were not enough, Messi also faced constant doubts from people around him. Some coaches and scouts looked at his small size and immediately questioned whether he could succeed in professional football. They believed the game was becoming too physical for someone like him. Many people focused on what he lacked rather than what he possessed. They saw a tiny boy instead of a remarkable talent. But Messi refused to let those opinions define him. Every criticism became motivation. Every doubt became fuel. He understood that he could not control what people said about him, but he could control how hard he worked. Instead of feeling sorry for himself, he trained harder than ever before. His determination grew stronger with every obstacle he faced. Despite his incredible talent, the financial pressure continued to increase. The cost of treatment remained a heavy burden on the family. Eventually, Newell's old boys could no longer provide enough assistance. The future suddenly looked uncertain. The family began wondering whether they could continue paying for the treatment. They feared that Lionel's dream might end before it truly began. It was one of the most difficult periods of their lives. Every day brought new worries and difficult decisions. Yet even during these challenging times, Messi never stopped believing. He continued playing football with the same passion and dedication that had always driven him. Then an opportunity appeared from thousands of miles away. Representatives connected to FC Barcelona, one of the biggest football clubs in the world, became aware of Messi's talent. At the time, Barcelona was famous for developing young players through its prestigious academy, La Masia. The possibility of joining such a club seemed almost unbelievable. However, there were many obstacles. Traveling to Spain would be expensive. Leaving Argentina would mean leaving family members, friends, and everything familiar. There was also no guarantee that Barcelona would offer him a contract. Still, the Messi family knew this might be their only chance. Sometimes life presents opportunities that require enormous courage, and this was one of those moments. Messi traveled to Spain for a trial with Barcelona. He was young, nervous, and far from home. Yet the moment he stepped onto the field, everything changed. Barcelona's coaches quickly realized they were witnessing something extraordinary. Despite his small stature, Messi's talent was unlike anything they had seen before. He dribbled effortlessly past defenders, controlled the ball with incredible precision, and displayed a football intelligence far beyond his years. Within a short time, the coaches were convinced that they wanted him at the club. However, administrative delays and financial complications threatened to slow the process. Weeks passed without a final decision, creating uncertainty and anxiety for the Messi family. Barcelona's sporting director, Carlos Rexach, feared that another club might discover Messi and sign him first. Determined not to lose such a remarkable talent, he reportedly made a historic decision. According to football legend, he wrote Messi's first agreement on a paper napkin, promising that Barcelona would sign him. Although it seemed like a simple gesture at the time, that small piece of paper would eventually become one of the most famous symbols in football history. Soon afterward, Barcelona officially agreed to sign Messi and help cover the costs of his medical treatment. For the Messi family, it felt like a miracle. After years of uncertainty, struggle, and sacrifice, hope had finally arrived. However, accepting Barcelona's offer meant making one of the hardest decisions of their lives. They would have to leave Argentina and move to Spain. For a young boy, this was heartbreaking. Messi loved Rosario. He loved his friends, his relatives, and the streets where he had spent countless hours playing football. Leaving home meant leaving behind everything familiar. Yet dreams often require sacrifice. The family understood that this opportunity could change Lionel's future forever. With courage and determination, they packed their belongings and prepared for a new life in a foreign country. As the plane carried them toward Spain, Messi looked out the window and wondered what awaited him. He was leaving behind his childhood and stepping into a world filled with uncertainty. New language, new culture, new friends, new challenges. Everything would be different. The next chapter of his life would test him in ways he had never imagined. He would face loneliness, homesickness, pressure, and expectations greater than anything he had experienced before. But those challenges would also shape him into the player and person he would eventually become. The small boy who had been told he was too small was about to begin a journey that would change football history forever. Moving to Spain was supposed to be the beginning of a dream, but for Lionel Messi, it also became one of the most difficult periods of his young life. At just 13 years old, he found himself thousands of miles away from the city he loved. Rosario had been his home, the place where he had spent his childhood playing football with friends and family. Now everything was different. The streets looked different, the people spoke differently, and the culture felt unfamiliar. Although Barcelona had offered him an incredible opportunity, the young Argentine boy often felt lonely and isolated. Behind the smiles and football training sessions, he missed home deeply. There were many nights when he thought about Argentina and wondered whether he had made the right decision. When Messi joined La Masia, Barcelona's famous youth academy, he entered an environment filled with talented young footballers from different countries. Every player there dreamed of becoming a professional football star. Competition was intense, and everyone was fighting for the same goal. For the first time in his life, Messi was surrounded by players who were also considered exceptional talents. He could no longer rely solely on being the best player in his neighborhood or local team. Every training session became a challenge. Every match was an opportunity to prove himself. Yet despite the pressure, Messi continued to stand out. His dribbling ability, vision, and ball control amazed coaches and teammates alike. Whenever he touched the ball, something special seemed possible. However, football was only one part of the challenge. Away from the field, Messi struggled with homesickness. His quiet personality made it difficult for him to make new friends quickly. Unlike some players who adapted easily to new environments, Messi often kept to himself. He missed his extended family in Argentina. He missed familiar food, familiar faces, and familiar routines. Sometimes the loneliness felt overwhelming. There were moments when he considered returning home. The dream that had seemed so exciting now came with emotional pain. Yet every time he thought about giving up, he remembered the sacrifices his family had made. He remembered the financial struggles, the medical treatments, and the countless obstacles they had already overcome. Those memories gave him the strength to continue. Barcelona also kept its promise regarding his medical treatment. The club helped cover the cost of the growth hormone injections that Messi still needed. Every night before going to bed, he had to inject himself with the medication. It was not an easy process, especially for a teenager. While other children focused only on school and sports, Messi carried the additional burden of managing a serious medical condition. Yet he rarely complained. He understood that the treatment was helping him move closer to his dream. Over time, his body began to develop more normally. Although he remained smaller than many players, the treatment allowed him to grow stronger and healthier. As months turned into years, Messi's performances at La Masia became impossible to ignore. Coaches often spoke about his unique ability to control the ball under pressure. Defenders struggled to stop him. Teammates loved playing alongside him because he could create opportunities from almost nothing. Many youth players looked talented during training sessions, but Messi consistently produced magic during actual matches. He scored goals, provided assists, and entertained spectators with dribbling skills that seemed almost unnatural. People inside the club began whispering that they were witnessing a future superstar. Some coaches even suggested that Messi possessed abilities comparable to football legends. Such comparisons created excitement, but they also increased expectations. As Messi continued progressing through Barcelona's youth system, he faced another challenge that many people never saw. His small frame made him vulnerable to physical injuries. Football at higher levels became faster and more demanding. Opponents were stronger and more aggressive. Every tackle carried risk. Several times, Messi suffered injuries that temporarily interrupted his development. For a young player desperate to prove himself, injuries were frustrating. Sitting on the sidelines while teammates trained and played was emotionally painful. He feared losing momentum. He feared being forgotten. Most importantly, he feared that his dream could still disappear despite everything he had already endured. But adversity had become a familiar companion in Messi's life. Instead of allowing setbacks to discourage him, he used them as motivation. During recovery periods, he focused on improving mentally. He studied the game, analyzed movements, and prepared himself for the moment he could return. Each injury taught him patience. Each obstacle strengthened his character. Many young athletes lose confidence after setbacks, but Messi seemed to become even more determined. The challenges that might have broken others only made him stronger. By the early 2000s, Barcelona's coaches faced an important question. How quickly should they promote Messi through the ranks? His performances at youth level were so impressive that keeping him with players his own age often seemed unfair to opponents. Match after match, he dominated games. Coaches began moving him into older age groups, testing whether he could perform against more experienced players. Remarkably, he continued excelling. No matter how difficult the challenge became, Messi found ways to succeed. His confidence grew, and so did the belief within the club that he was destined for greatness. Around this time, Messi formed important friendships with teammates who would later become key figures in Barcelona's success. Together, they shared dreams of reaching the first team. They trained relentlessly, pushing one another to improve. These friendships helped Messi feel more comfortable in Spain. Slowly, Barcelona began to feel less like a temporary destination and more like home. The loneliness that had once seemed unbearable started to fade. Football remained his primary focus, but he was finally beginning to build a life beyond the game. As his reputation grew, so did interest from football insiders. Scouts, journalists, and coaches began talking about the extraordinary teenager emerging from La Masia. Stories spread about his incredible dribbling ability and natural talent. Some people described him as the most gifted young player they had ever seen. Yet despite the growing attention, Messi remained humble. He rarely sought the spotlight. He preferred letting his performances speak for him. While others talked, he worked. While others dreamed, he trained. This quiet determination would become one of the defining characteristics of his career. Eventually, the moment Messi had been working toward for years began to approach. Barcelona's first team, one of the biggest clubs in the world, started paying close attention to his development. Training opportunities with senior players became more frequent. For a teenager, sharing the field with established professionals was both exciting and intimidating. These were players he had watched on television. Now he was training alongside them. Every session felt like an audition. Every touch of the ball mattered. Messi knew that one mistake could reinforce doubts, while one brilliant performance could move him closer to his dream. Fortunately, his talent quickly impressed senior players as well. During training sessions, experienced professionals found themselves struggling to stop the young Argentine. His quick movements, low center of gravity, and extraordinary balance made him incredibly difficult to defend. Some teammates were shocked by how easily he could dribble past players much older and stronger than himself. The same qualities that had made him special as a child continued to separate him from everyone else. In 2004, after years of sacrifice, struggle, and hard work, Messi finally received the opportunity he had dreamed about since childhood. At just 17 years old, he made his official debut for Barcelona's first team. It was a moment that represented far more than a football match. It represented years of medical treatments, family sacrifices, financial hardships, homesickness, and perseverance. The small boy from Rosario had reached one of the biggest stages in world football. Although few people realized it at the time, football history was changing. Making a debut, however, is only the beginning. Staying at the top is far more difficult. Messi soon discovered that professional football brought a completely different level of pressure. Expectations increased dramatically. Fans wanted results. Coaches demanded consistency. Media attention intensified. Every performance was analyzed. Every mistake became a headline. Young players often struggle under such pressure, but Messi continued developing at an extraordinary rate. Match by match, he gained confidence and experience. One of the defining moments of his early professional career came when he scored his first goal for Barcelona. The goal was more than a statistic. It symbolized the realization of a dream that had begun years earlier in the streets of Rosario. As the ball crossed the line, it felt as though every sacrifice had been worth it. The young boy who had once been told he was too small had now scored for one of the biggest clubs on earth. It was a powerful reminder that determination can overcome obstacles that seem impossible. As Messi's influence on the team grew, football fans around the world started paying attention. Videos of his dribbling skills spread rapidly. Commentators praised his creativity and composure. Opponents feared facing him. Many experts began predicting that he could become one of the greatest players of his generation. Yet despite the praise, Messi remained focused on improvement. He understood that talent alone was not enough. Success required discipline, hard work, and continuous growth. The next few years would transform Messi from a promising young player into a global superstar. He would face fierce competition, suffer more injuries, experience heartbreaking disappointments, and achieve incredible victories. He would form legendary partnerships, break records, and help create one of the greatest football teams ever assembled. Most importantly, he would continue proving that size, criticism, and obstacles mean nothing when compared to determination and belief. The world was beginning to discover Lionel Messi, but his greatest challenges and his greatest triumphs were still ahead. After establishing himself as one of Barcelona's most important players, Lionel Messi entered the most successful period of his career. Season after season, he continued improving and reaching levels that many people thought were impossible. His dribbling became even more dangerous. His finishing became more accurate, and his understanding of the game became extraordinary. Alongside world-class teammates, Messi helped Barcelona win major trophies and play some of the most beautiful football the world had ever seen. Fans packed stadiums just to watch him play, while millions more watched on television. What had started as a dream in the streets of Rosario was now becoming reality on the biggest stages in football. As Messi's reputation grew, a new rivalry captured the attention of football fans around the world. A talented Portuguese player named Cristiano Ronaldo was also dominating the sport. For more than a decade, football was defined by the competition between Messi and Ronaldo. Every season, fans debated who was better. Both players scored incredible goals, broke records, and pushed each other to new heights. Instead of allowing the rivalry to distract him, Messi used it as motivation. He continued working hard, improving his game, and proving himself year after year. Together, they raised the standard of football excellence and inspired an entire generation of players. While Messi enjoyed enormous success with Barcelona, his journey with the Argentina national team was often filled with disappointment. The pressure of representing his country was immense. Millions of Argentinians hoped he would lead them to international glory, but success proved difficult. Argentina reached several major finals, including the 2014 FIFA World Cup final and multiple Copa America finals, only to suffer painful defeats. Each loss brought criticism from some fans and media outlets. Some people questioned whether Messi could ever achieve greatness with his national team. For a player who had already accomplished so much, these failures were heartbreaking. There were moments when the disappointment became so overwhelming that he even considered stepping away from international football. Yet Messi had spent his entire life overcoming obstacles. He refused to let failure define him. Instead, he continued fighting for his country, just as he had fought through injuries, medical challenges, and criticism throughout his career. His perseverance finally paid off in 2021 when Argentina won the Copa America. It was an emotional moment not only for Messi, but for the entire nation. After years of heartbreak, he had finally lifted a major international trophy with Argentina. Tears of joy replaced years of disappointment. For many fans, it was one of the most satisfying victories in football history. However, an even greater challenge remained. The one trophy every football player dreams of winning was still missing from Messi's collection: the FIFA World Cup. By the time the 2022 World Cup arrived in Qatar, many people believed it might be his final opportunity. The tournament began with a shocking defeat for Argentina, causing doubts to spread across the football world. Critics questioned whether the team could recover, but Messi responded the way he always had, through leadership, determination, and brilliant performances. Match after match, Argentina improved. Messi inspired his teammates with crucial goals, assists, and moments of magic. The nation rallied behind its captain. As the tournament progressed, the dream of becoming world champions moved closer to reality. Finally, Argentina reached the World Cup final against France in what would become one of the greatest matches ever played. The game was filled with drama, excitement, and unforgettable moments. Messi delivered an incredible performance, helping his team fight until the very end. After a tense penalty shootout, Argentina emerged victorious. Lionel Messi had finally achieved the dream he had chased since childhood. As he lifted the World Cup trophy, the image became one of the most iconic moments in sports history. The small boy who had once been told he was too small, too weak, and unlikely to succeed had reached the summit of world football. His journey proved that greatness is not determined by physical size, background, or circumstances. It is determined by courage, dedication, and the willingness to keep moving forward when life becomes difficult. Today, Lionel Messi is remembered as more than just a football player. He is a symbol of perseverance and hope. His story teaches us that obstacles are not the end of the journey. They are often the beginning of something extraordinary. From the streets of Rosario to the top of world football, Messi showed that dreams can come true when combined with hard work and belief. His life reminds us that success is not about avoiding failure. It is about refusing to surrender when failure appears. And that is why Lionel Messi's story continues to inspire millions of people around the world. Not because he scored hundreds of goals or won countless trophies, but because he never stopped believing in himself when everyone else doubted him. The boy who once faced rejection, illness, and uncertainty became a world champion, a football legend, and an inspiration for generations. His journey proves a simple but powerful truth. No dream is too big when your determination is bigger than your fears.